Meet Tyler. Tyler makes $68,000 a year, has a decent apartment, a gym membership he uses twice a month, and a brand new $47,000 pickup truck sitting in his driveway that he absolutely did not need. His monthly payment is $812. His interest rate is 7.9%. His loan term is 72 months. And if you do the math, which Tyler did not, he's going to pay over $11,000 in interest alone before he owns a truck that will be worth roughly half its purchase price by the time the loan is done. Tyler is not an idiot. Tyler is just a normal person who walked into a dealership on a Saturday and got processed like a piece of livestock. And the scary part, Tyler is not alone. Because right now, the average new car payment in the United States is $737 per month. The average loan term is 69 months. And total auto loan debt in America has crossed $1.6 trillion. That's trillion with a T. The kind of number that makes you want to lie down on the floor and stare at the ceiling for a while. And I'm not here to tell you not to buy a car. You probably need a car. But what you don't need is to be financially vivisected by an industry that has spent 60 years perfecting the art of making you feel like you're getting a deal while your net worth quietly bleeds out in the driveway. So let's talk about the car payment trap, the lease trap, the financing trap, and the four words that have quietly destroyed more household balance sheets than any market crash ever could. What's your monthly payment? That sentence right there is the most expensive question in personal finance. Not what's the interest rate, not what's the total cost, just the monthly payment. Because the entire auto industry, dealers, manufacturers, and lenders has engineered a system around one singular objective. Make the monthly number small enough that you say yes, and then make everything else as expensive as humanly possible. Here's how it works. When you walk into a dealership and say you can afford $600 a month, the salesperson doesn't hear a budget, they hear a target. Because $600 a month over 84 months, which is now a completely normalized loan term, by the way, is $50,400 on a car. That might have an MSRP of $38,000. You just paid $12,400 extra for the privilege of spreading payments out over 7 years. 7 years. That's longer than most marriages last in this country. And it gets worse, because by the time you're 18 months into a 72-month loan on a new car, you are almost certainly underwater, meaning you owe more on the car than it's worth. New cars lose roughly 20% of their value in the first year alone, another 15% in year 2. So on that $47,000 truck Tyler bought after 24 months of payments, the truck might be worth $30,000, and Tyler still owes $38,000. That gap, that $8,000 hole between what he owes and what it's worth, that's called negative equity. And the dealership loves negative equity because when Tyler inevitably gets tired of his truck in 3 years and comes back to trade it in, they'll just roll that negative equity into his next loan, like a debt snowball that somehow only rolls uphill. This is not an accident. This is the design. Now let's talk about leasing, because a lot of people think leasing is the smart alternative. And look, I get it. Lower monthly payment, new car every 3 years. You never have to worry about repairs. It sounds clean and modern and financially sophisticated. It is none of those things. Here's what leasing actually is. You're paying for the depreciation of the car during the years you drive it, plus interest, plus fees, and at the end, you own absolutely nothing. You hand the keys back. You have zero equity. You've built zero asset value. And then you get to start the whole process over again with a new lease and a new set of fees. The average lease payment today is around $590 a month. Over a 3-year lease, that's $21,240 gone. And then if you want to keep leasing for, say, 15 years, which is a realistic window for someone who gets hooked on the cycle, you'll have spent over $106,000 and owned nothing. Zero. Not a single asset. You just rented a series of cars for $100,000 and have nothing to show for it except a mileage overage bill and a vague sense that you've been running on a treadmill. Now compare that to buying a reliable used car, a 3-year-old vehicle in good condition, paying cash or financing a small amount at a reasonable rate, and driving it for 10 years. The average cost of ownership is dramatically lower. You build equity, you stop having a payment, and when something breaks, you fix it, which is still cheaper than a $700 monthly payment. But here's the gut punch. The reason the industry doesn't want you to think this way is because a paid-off car generates zero revenue for anyone. A car you own outright is the dealership's nightmare. So they've spent decades making monthly payments feel normal, making 3-year upgrade cycles feel like a lifestyle, and making the idea of driving a 5-year-old car feel like some kind of personal failure. And the numbers prove it's working. In 1990, the average car loan term was 48 months. Today, it's nearly 70. In 2010, 84 months, loans were rare. Today, 1 in 5 auto loans is 84 months or longer. The industry didn't make cars more affordable. They just made the debt longer. They stretched the payments thin enough that you stop feeling the weight. This is the same trick credit card companies use. The same trick buy now, pay later apps use. The same trick anyone uses when they want you to ignore the total cost and focus only on the number that fits in your budget today. Now, there are a few things you can actually do to avoid becoming Tyler. First, First, the 20-4-10 rule. Put at least 20% down. Finance for no more than 4 years. And keep your total car costs, payment, insurance, gas, under 10% of your gross monthly income. This rule alone will disqualify most new car purchases, which is kind of the point. Second, used cars are not a consolation prize. A 2 or 3-year-old car has already eaten the worst of its depreciation. You're buying the same vehicle for 25 to 35% less. The reliability data on most mainstream brands shows no significant drop-off until well past 150,000 miles. You're not buying someone else's problem. You're buying someone else's depreciation. Let them take the hit. Third, the interest rate is not a decoration. If you're financing at 7, 8, 9%, which is common right now, you need to understand what that costs you in real dollars over the life of the loan. On a $40,000 car at 8% over 72 months, you're paying over $9,500 in interest. That's a vacation, a home renovation, or 19 months of S&P 500 contributions that you will never see again. Fourth, the dealership finance office is not your friend. The F&I office, that's the finance and insurance office where you sign all the paperwork, is the single most profitable department in any dealership. This is where they sell you extended warranties, gap insurance, paint protection packages, and tire warranties. Some of these products have merit. Most of them are priced at 3 to 5 times what you'd pay buying them independently. Say no to everything and then decide later with a clear head. Fifth, if you must lease, understand what you're leasing and why. If you're a business owner who can write off the payments, leasing has a legitimate tax argument. If you genuinely drive under 12,000 miles a year and want a new car every 3 years and have fully funded your retirement accounts, okay, fine, lease. But if you're leasing because the payment is lower and you think you're being clever, you are Tyler, just in a more aerodynamic car. Here's where I land on all of this. The car industry hasn't done anything illegal. They've just built a system perfectly optimized to extract maximum lifetime revenue from anyone who doesn't know how it works. And because cars are tied to identity, status, and freedom in this country, it's the one purchase where people routinely abandon all logic and just sign. The average American will spend more money on car payments over their lifetime than they'll invest in their own retirement. Read that again. More on payments for depreciating metal than on building actual wealth. And like most financial traps, the machinery only works because nobody explains it clearly. So that's what we just did. Drop your take in the comments. Are you A, buy used and drive it forever person, B, someone who leases and is now having a small existential crisis, or C, someone who financed a truck they didn't need and is going to pretend they didn't watch this video? Let's see how many Tylers are out there.